Welcome to Bosco Campus Vision. You're watching the campus television channel of Don Bosco College, Kottayam. This lecture is on the prescribed syllabus of 5th semester BA English Literature and Language. Paper is Literary Criticism. This lecture is a continuation of Indian Aesthetics, and this is part 4 of chapter 1, The Theory of Rasa. Next is universalization of poetic art. On the stage, the actor who plays the role of Rama appears to the audience the Rama of Valmiki's poetic imagination. The stage spectacle, along with the impact of the music, gives us this impression. In this state, the previous experience existing in the mind of the audience as impressions work up independently in association with the suggestion of the dramatic performance. These roused impressions produce new joys and pains. This is called universalization of poetic art. Universalization of poetic art are of two kinds. First of all, the aesthetic composition presents before our minds an aesthetic situation and an emotion, free from its local character. Secondly, the expression of this artistic enlightenment has a universal character in its manifestation in different minds. In the next stage, this presented whole becomes mingled with various types of subconscious and unconscious feelings which are lying dormant in the minds of various people. But we do not find any trace of any local character or color with the real objective world around it. It is therefore called transcendental, that is, alaukika or kamatkara. The word kamatkara is used in three different senses. First one, to denote the special aesthetic attitude of the mind produced by commingling of the universal artistic situation and the stirred up emotion motive complexes. Second, to denote the aesthetic pleasure arising out of it. Third, to denote the bodily manifestation of such an enjoyment. In addition to these, it is also used to denote that special mental function by which the whole thing is enjoyed. Next is Dhwani. Anandavardhana extends the scope of rasa to poetry by combining rasa with his Dhwani theory. Dhwani and rasa are not conflicting concepts. While Dhwani is the technique of expression, rasa stands for the ultimate effect of poetry. Suggestion as abstraction does not have any relevance in art. The suggested meaning has to be charming, and it is the rasa element which is ultimate source of charm in drama and poetry. The importance of the doctrine of suggestion lies in the fact that it alone offers the key for the expression of emotion. Anandavardhana's concept of Dhwani is encapsulated in the maxim Kavyasyatma Dhwani. The theory of Dhwani or suggestion was first introduced by Anandavardhana in his treatise Dhvanyaloka in the 9th century. Defining Dhwani, Anandavardhana writes, that kind of poetry wherein the conventional meaning renders itself secondary or the conventional word renders its meaning secondary and suggests the intended or implied meaning is designated by the learned as Dhwani or suggestive poetry. Dhvani theory is a modern psychological theory as its focus of enjoyment turns from the poem to the mind of the reader. Anandavardhana says that the beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. The enjoyment of the poem takes place in the mind of the capable reader who can interact properly with the words, symbols, metaphors, and ideas of the poem. Dhvani theory is basically a semantic theory. Dhvani in Sanskrit literally means echo. It is a category of medieval Indian poetics according to which the artistic enjoyment from literary works is achieved not by the images which are created by the direct meaning of the words. However, the associations and ideas are evoked by these images. The former and the direct images are called vachya, that is the stated, and the final are called pratyamana, that is the implied, and are perceived only by those who know the meaning of poetry. Anandavardhana is credited with creating the Dhvani theory. He wrote of Dhvani, which means sound or resonance in regard to the soul of poetry. Anandavardhana said, when the poet writes, he creates a resonant field of emotions. The reader or hearer must be on the same wavelength to understand the poetry. The method requires sensitivity on the part of the writer as well as the reader. Anandavardhana gives three categories of appreciation of poetry: Abhida, Lakshana, Vyanjana. Abhida means denotation. It is concrete physical meaning, expiate. Lakshana, that is indication, it is the allied meaning. Vyanjana, that is suggestion, it is a connotative meaning, one that is entirely suggestive. This is the real soul of poetry. The epithet of Dhvani, however, is assigned not only to Dhvanya Kavya but even to words, their meanings, or the activity of suggestive poetry. In short, in Anandavardhana's treatise, it is taken in 5 senses, viz. First, the suggestive word or sound which resonates meaning, that is Vyanjaka Shabd. The suggestive meaning which resembles another sense, that is Vyanjaka Artha. The suggestive poetry, that is Vyanjaka Kavya. The suggestive meaning, that is Vyangyartha. And the activity of meaning, that is Vyanjana Vyapara. Anandavardhana elaborates his theory from the angle of what is suggested and the suggestors or what suggests. Regarding the nature of what is suggested, Anandavardhana divides it into 3 categories, viz. Vastudhvani, or where there is suggestion of a matter or fact or an idea. Alankaradhvani, or where there is suggestion of a trope. Rasadhvani, or where there is suggestion of a mood or feeling. The theory of Dhvani as such is a comprehensive principle which can cover any genre that fulfills the definition of poetry, and in fact, when the Indian poetics adopts the term, it includes any literary work. The activity of suggestion in literature, whether in the East or in the West, has been an age-old phenomenon. In this lecture, we have studied universalization of poetic art and Dhvani. Do the given exercise and submit on time. Thank you.